Another thing I wanted to bring up there is obviously Pope Francis is here hoping for healing, hoping to start these conversations, hopefully reminding some people of their history, what was lost. But there's an indigenous Catholic church here in Edmonton, Sacred Heart. And one of the priests, I believe he's from India, he actually learned Cree so he could worship with the people. What do tangible actions like learning a language and worshiping in Cree, how much can that go to bridge these gaps that exist?
Well, when people really immerse themselves like that, it just gives everybody else hope, and knowing that people do understand and want to know our culture, and maybe gives other people, like non-native people, that understanding of us too. So I don't go to that. I'm really into my traditional culture.
Sure. Yeah.
And being here, just experiencing this Catholic Mass, I just about cried just thinking about what happened because of everything. But I still it's hard to forgive,
Of course.
and let go of that hurt. But it's a long journey, and it's a lifelong journey.
And I guess finally, you said you're working on learning your language, your traditional language. Would you like to say something in your traditional language for us?
Kisakitin. That means I love you.
Adam Soos here for Rebel News on location at Commonwealth Stadium here in Edmonton, Alberta, for what is very much one of the pinnacle events of Pope Francis's trip to Canada and his efforts to lead to truth and reconciliation as an extension of what happened at the residential schools. As you can see, there's a massive crowd gathered here. They're actually expecting upwards of 65,000 people in attendance at this Mass. We're going to be talking to some people, garnering their perspective on Pope Francis's visit, and asking whether they believe that this visit, this papal visit, will lead to authentic truth and authentic reconciliation.
Hi, my name is Joey Felix, and this is my mother, Florence Giroux. She was a residential school survivor. She passed away in 2007, so I'm here to honor her.
And so what's the sort of sentiment that you get from Pope Francis's visit? Are you hopeful? Are you divided? What are you feeling with his arrival?
Right now, I'm not quite sure. I'm just kind of up in the air right now.
Up in the air?
Yeah.
Second time I'm gonna see Pope now.
Yeah.
So I dress up for him with this medallion here. And I'm way from Takla Land in BC. And my name is Julie Jocks Alexander. And I come to long ways for him now. So, yeah.
You're in a residential school, you survive yourself. Do you feel like this is helping healing and this is going to help things
yes,
get better?
I am.
Yeah?
Yes, I wouldn't mind to talk about the children, that they should be, that's their home where they bury them, and they should have little headstone on them instead of making a big deal out of everything.
It's been really mixed because I've had a lot of loss, and I've been part of intergenerational trauma. So I know that, for me, I just hope that this apology comes with action.
Never really had a conversation about him or anything,
Yeah.
So I don't really know.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to learn.
Trying to learn
Yeah.
dialogue.
Yeah.
It was at first I was angry because I lost a lot. I lost my language, I lost my culture. My mother was in residential schools, and she went there from age 6 to 14. And when she came out, she didn't teach us Cree. And I asked her why. And she said, because you don't need it anymore. And that confused me, because being Native, I wanted to be very proud of who I was. But then hearing that coming from my mom, I didn't know her past. I didn't know about the residential schools until Phil Fontaine said something in 96, and I was 16 years old at that time, still not knowing anything about these residential schools. And when he said that, that's when everything finally, like, I started understanding what my mom was talking about. She never told me any of the bad things that happened. My mom and my auntie are still alive today, and my mom didn't want to come, but she wanted me to come. I'm from Saskatchewan, and I just wanted to be here to have that healing, to have that forgiveness, because I'm still angry.
We're going through, even with my mother, I don't call her mom, I call her by her name. And because she was in there and she was abused and she shared a few things, you know. And that's what I keep thinking of when I'm sitting here, and she didn't want to come.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and we talked to lots of people, and there is very much this sentiment of mixed emotions.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's good he's here, he's trying to say sorry, but is it enough? Do you think that the outcome is going to be hopeful or healing? Are you still unsure?
Unsure, I guess it's a long journey to healing, you know, because it's hit every generation when you think about it.
Yeah.
Do you think he's coming with sort of the best intentions at the very least?
Yes, I am. Yes.
And one of the sort of other questions we've been asking people is, do you think an apology tour is the right way to show that sort of hearts and minds have changed, or do you think more tangible action is needed, that they should take real meaningful action to help Indigenous communities currently in Canada?
Well, this is a start, right? We got a long way to go. So this is a start.
What have you been hearing from people?
What I've been hearing, that they want this apology, and I believe it's going to happen, and only those with the hard heart are not gonna accept this.
So you think it's authentic, and he's here trying to really heal some of the wounds.
There is some of them, but there's not much we can do because the damage was done long time ago, and we're just trying to make things better.
Right.
Yeah.
Do you think the Pope should call for Catholics and for the government to take action and address current issues to prove their hearts have really changed?
Yes, 100%.
And do you share that sentiment? What's been your reaction so far?
Well, for me, reconciliation is more of action, right? And him coming has been affected me in a really great way, because it gives me some closure for my ancestors and for my future generations as well, like my children and my grandchildren and whoever, right?
So Father Patrick, I just sort of wanted to get the sort of emotional response as a priest. Pope Francis set to arrive and celebrate Mass with 60,000+ people. What's been your response to his arrival so far?
I'm very welcoming of his arrival. I'm very happy that he has come to be with us here, and in particular his mission of healing and reconciling, and also to help to bridge, bridges to our Indigenous communities, many of which are Catholic, and that many priests and religious still serve, and to help heal wounds of the past. So
Now, Pope Francis is obviously very inclined towards sort of the social teachings of the church. Do you suspect that he might call on Catholics or the government to address some of the sort of current concerns like clean drinking water, healthcare, and drug abuse, some of these other issues on Indigenous reservations, that we can sort of prove that we've changed our hearts from the past by taking actions on the issues that they're facing today?
yes, I don't know if I'm sure he's addressed it in many different ways, in general ways. Particular, I'm not sure. I can't guess at that, but that would be probably something that is being spoken of and broached with many of the bishops and pastors across Canada as well, working with the government, in trying to forward that progress. And
Well, as you can see, folks behind me are leaving with Mass wrapping up here. This is by far the biggest, as we mentioned, event of Pope Francis's visit here. Something like 60,000+ expected to have attended this event here. We had some incredible conversations with people, learned about some of the legacy of residential school survivors and the generations affected afterwards, despite a lot of mixed emotion, and despite the fact that we saw mass arson, vandalism, and outright hate crimes as a result of the now often debunked mass grave stories across this country. Despite all of that, despite that violence, these events have proceeded almost entirely peacefully. There was virtually no counter-protesting. People, it seems, are willing to sort of take a step back, unlike Justin Trudeau, but take a step back from the politicization and simply allow people to heal. That's the hope anyways. It was great to talk to people and learn their stories. I hope you enjoyed this video. As always, I want to thank you all so much for tuning in. For Rebel News, I'm Adam Soos. Hey guys, I just want to remind you that we don't get the million and in fact billion-dollar handouts that lots of mainstream media gets. We come out here to cover these stories, often driving long distances. Some of these instances, like today, in fact, where we suspected there might be protesters and aggressors, we actually had to hire security. These costs certainly add up, and without those bailout funds, it can be challenging. If you want to support our independent journalism, support these tough conversations that we're having, and support the telling of the other side of the story, you can chip in at popereports.com.